Hi, welcome to Unbreakable Faith Incorporated. I am your host, Michelle DeWitt. I am the executive director of Unbreakable Faith. We are a mentorship program that caters to youth ages 13 to 17 and 18 to 22 that have gone through some sexual abuse or are dealing with trauma. We offer workshops for our youth and for our young adults, as well as parents. We want to make sure that we do a wraparound in regards to what has tragically happened in their lives. Today, we have Mr. Trent Brock on our show today. Of course, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Trent is going to share some amazing stories with us right after this commercial. Hi, Trent. How are you doing
Hey,
today?
I'm great, wonderful. Getting ready for this Memorial Day weekend.
Absolutely. I am too. I'm doing absolutely nothing. Okay. Nothing.
Good for you. Good for you. It sounds like you work hard.
Oh my goodness. Trent, so tell me, I have a question that I ask all my guests. What did you have for breakfast?
What do I have for breakfast? Oh, I have pretty much the same thing every morning. I have I have protein yogurt with about three different kinds of fruit in it, and put a
Mm.
little local honey in there, and that's my start. It's kind of my base for the day. You know, I've taken so many
Okay.
medications for my stomach and stuff. Good thing to get it coated for the day.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you missed the nutritionist man, you.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, hey, at least we get one meal kind of going good, right? In the right direction.
Absolutely. So, Trent, tell us where you originated from.
I'm originally from Shreveport, Louisiana, North Louisiana. It's kind of a bit like southern Arkansas and East Texas, all kind of wrapped into one.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, where are you at now?
I am in Northwest Arkansas. My folks live up here, and I've been here about 3 years.
Okay.
Before that, I lived in New Zealand for about 17 years.
How was that?
Unbelievable. The place is the most beautiful place on the planet. The people are awesome. I love the Kiwis. It was my place.
Oh my gosh, I'm packing up and leaving my husband. No, I'm just joking. Um, oh
Ah,
my gosh. Okay. So listen, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And Trent, you have an amazing story. After reading your bio and going through the horrific experiences that you have experienced in your life as well. You have dealt with some hard challenges in your life. You've almost died quite a few times. And you've moved from those stages all the way up to being a successor, a motivator, a speaker. So before we get there, let's rewind. Let's
sure.
go back. And Trent, let's talk a little bit about some of the struggles that you went through.
Sure. Well, just to give everybody kind of a little background, I graduated from college with a MBA and an IT degree. So I was a traveling IT consultant for big companies. Did that in the States. Then I started doing that worldwide, and then it ended up in New Zealand.
Mm.
There a few years, probably about, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago, I met a guy in the boxing gym, and we started a kettle corn business on the weekends. They didn't have it there. This thing blew up crazy, turned into a manufacturing plant with a couple of factories. We started making a professional looking like a potato chip bag, serviced all of New Zealand, internationally, like Singapore, etc., and things like that. So I was kind of known in New Zealand as the popcorn man.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, back in 2019, I started limping around the factory. Went to a few doctors, had to go in the hospital for some blood work. The doc's like, look, we're going to get an x-ray today. This is when everything began to change. A week later, she calls me while I'm on my way to lunch, and you get that call that you never want to get, and that is that you have aggressive hip bone cancer, and you need to get into the hospital right now, immediately.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
well, tell us a little bit more about what is aggressive hip bone cancer. What does it mean, aggressive?
Well, aggressive means that it was so advanced in my pelvic hip area on the left side that I only had about a 1/4 inch of bone holding my leg on. They're surprised that I hadn't broken my leg off already. And if I did, yeah, unbelievable, right? If I did do that, the leg would have to come off, no questions asked. Get yourself to the hospital as quickly as you can. And how are you getting here? We don't want you to even walk into the emergency room.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how it all started. Yeah.
So how did you move from having that, and what is the percentage of going through, I guess I'm mixing up my words, but how did you get through that, and what did they tell you? What would they tell you your future would look like?
It was 50-50 that I would make it. The very first appointment that I went into with the orthopedic said, "You're really lucky that we caught this, because if not, in 6 months you would be dead." I'm just like, I mean, I've never had any more than, like, my tonsils out and broken my ankle a few times, right? Never had any health issues, always kind of worked out and, somewhat took care of myself, etc. So yeah, it's public health care in New Zealand, right? So we know things that the government is involved in. It's nice because it's free, so to speak, but the service is slow and it's average. So this is no different, right?
How old were you?
I was, golly, that was about 5 years ago. So I was about 40, 42, 43.
So recent.
Yeah.
And you look so marvelous.
We've, thank you so much. It's been, there's a lot in between that and now. And, it's been a lot of hard work, but man, the Lord's been with me, right? He's been with me, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. My parents, some great doctors that I've had, some wonderful supportive friends. I'm everything I've been through, I'm still a lucky guy. I'm still here. Yeah.
I also read about you having lung cancer.
Yeah. So we got through the hip thing, right? So they removed. I'll show this just to kind of give people. I usually show this is an X-ray, okay, and you can see this is my pelvis area, my spine, whatever. This side, it has all my bone. This one, gone. Everything gone. So you can see that's all totally removed. That was a 4-month deal. And I thought everything was over. Mom and Dad came down for the surgery, not allowed out of the bed for 60 days straight.
Wow.
roll me over on my side and roll me back to even go to the bathroom. I mean, it was there was a big deal about the doctors wanted to take the leg. My dad got involved, wouldn't let them take the leg. They're like, we removed the leg for 99% of the people, right? And what it did is it made me handicapped. It made my left leg shorter than my right. And, the functionality, wasn't there. A lot of feeling was gone. It basically was just like a little limp leg stump is what it turned into.
Okay.
So the doc said he'll have a better quality of life if you cut it off. But Dad's like, we don't care. You don't know my son. He's a fighter. He's not a quitter. Give him a chance. Cut it off later, but give him a chance. Don't cut it off now. You'll never, you can't come back from that. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we got through all that. The next scan I got diagnosed with lung and pancreas cancer. Okay. And pancreatic is less than a 5%.
I'm sorry,
chance.
Trent, you froze up. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Tell us again, you froze up.
Yep. So on my scan, on my next scan, I got pancreatic and lung cancer, and pancreatic is less than a 5% chance with treatment. Okay. So obviously that's the more, with it's a death sentence. It's a death sentence, right? Yeah. So obviously the pancreatic's more serious than the lung. Did this, had that scheduled. So between the diagnosis and the surgery, COVID hit, and they locked us down. Nobody's coming in, nobody's going out. Everybody's locked at home. So I did all this surgery and all that stuff by myself. Surgery was successful. Cool. Good deal with that. But it was a misdiagnosis. They removed half of my pancreas and spleen, and it ended up being a blood clot mistake. Yeah.
Oh my Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And here's the thing. There's no consequences really, because it's a public healthcare system. So, yeah. So, the thing is like,
you were a baby doll or whatever, and you couldn't sue them for doing what they did. Do they know that you almost died? I mean, like of course they know you almost died, but they just didn't care is what it sounds like.
You know what? The system, it's overrun. The all the people are underpaid. It's a tough situation. The healthcare there is probably about like what people think of the VA hospital here, if not worse. I think we've all kind of heard some horror stories about the VA, right? And I'm not saying it's always. I'm just trying to give people some sort of an idea, maybe of a comparison. Yeah.
Okay. I got you, Trent. So I thank God you're living. You've been through some traumatic experiences. You have went and traveled as well. You've had a wonderful job. And even though you've gone through these experiences, one thing that I love that you mentioned here is that you do your diet, you have routine exercise.
Yep.
What is your mental health like today?
Gosh, with this cancer thing, right? So I just want to fill people in real quick. I won't go into all the details,
sure.
but so we did the pancreas thing, then we had lung cancer, right? So I did I had the lung cancer, had that surgery, but that got infected. So my hip had been infected from the year prior. We had done 6 or 7 more surgeries, IV antibiotics, everything. So I had this giant infection in my hip about the size of maybe like a cantaloupe. Okay. There was a hole in there because there wasn't any bone there. It was gone. Right. And then they did another surgery when I was in with my hip to remove this little wire they had put in. And so 2 weeks turned into 2 months, 2.5 months in the hospital. Got out from that. Okay. Next scan, you really, really do have pancreas cancer this time for real. Are you curious? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? So they, I was back and forth with the doctor several times. In like 4 months, it grew because I started getting the scan reports. Okay, from that big, which is the size of a couple of nickels on its side,
yeah,
to the size of a tennis ball. Okay. It was growing into my stomach. And the doctors, I could tell in this public system it was getting delayed. I demanded a biopsy this time. They wouldn't do it the first time. Got the biopsy. It was cancer. Went to a private, a couple of private doctors. They gave me a year to live. Okay. Told me it was over. You're done. So my mental state, right? That's what you asked me. My mental state started going down, right? All of my from my orthopedic to my lung doctor, all of them, they're like, you've had a good run, you fought hard, but this one's going to get you, Trent. You probably ought to go home and be with your family because you got a year. This is during COVID. You can't really go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
I can't do anything except maybe come home. Right. So, I mean, my mental state was in shambles. Okay. I was waiting around, sitting around the house. My team said, you don't have to come to work, which was terrible, which was absolutely terrible. And one day on the phone with my parents after we'd had an appointment, my parents, they're rock solid. They're awesome. I mean, they're good Christians. They never, bought into the hype. When I was having a tough time, they were there for me. I could tell they were starting to lose it, right? Their kid is on the other side of the world.
Were you the only child?
I have a younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine. I can't say that I can't imagine the terror that was going on in your family's life to hear this. It's COVID. Everybody's dying in the world. And here it is. You're having all these surgeries back to back. Your body hasn't had time to recuperate and heal. And then bam, there's another bomb that has exploded in your life. And again, I want to say COVID's around. So your family can't actually be around like that. Are you alone during all this?
Yeah, I am, on top. I mean, this story just goes deeper and deeper. Me and my roommate had a falling out about the COVID thing. I could go to work because I ran a food factory to supply food that was be put on the shelves because for months, the only place that you could go is the supermarket to get food. No restaurants were open, no takeaway, no delivery, nothing. You could leave your house and you could go either to the supermarket or you could go to work. Well, I went to work, right? Even though I was doing all this, I still was going, I still had to run my business or we would have had to close the doors. So I'm still, doing that. And it just didn't work out. So we got on no speaking terms, nothing. So I was literally on my own. Now I'm on crutches with this leg that's, let me just give you an idea of this is the size shoe that I ended up wearing. That is 4 1/4 inches. That is a Croc, a platform shoe. That's how short my leg got. Right?
Let me see. Yeah. Put that up there again. Yeah. Let me see if I can do a solo view. Okay, there it is. Let me see this. Oh my gosh, Trent.
I know. Yeah.
By yourself? You can't walk in that.
No. Well, I was on crutches, and they told me you'll never walk again. You'll be on crutches for the rest of your life, then a wheelchair, and I'm just like, I'm not accepting that. I can't accept that, right?
This is horrific.
I know. Well, I'm on the phone with my parents right after one of these appointments, and I just heard that despair and that sadness and that hopelessness. And I had kind of given up myself, and I'm telling you, when you are just sitting around waiting for something, like waiting to die, do you know how long time is? Especially when you are all alone, isolated, no one to talk to. It was rough. But you know what? I made a decision on the phone with my folks. I was like, something happened. And I thought, you know what? I am a fighter. I'm not a quitter. You know what? If anybody can do this, I can. Just like my dad said. Those guys don't know me. They know me for 10 or 15 minutes in an appointment. I
Yes.
can do this. I can
I
figure this
love
out.
it.
I'm taking control back. I've been listening to these guys for 2
Mm-hmm.
years, and you know what? I'm in control of me. I make
Mm-hmm.
the decisions for me, and you know what? I owe it to my parents to fight this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what had happened. Okay, before all this, one of my brother's best friend, a good family friend, my aunt and uncle's godson, at the age of 38, died of pancreatic cancer. Okay, left his
Mm-hmm.
wife and
Mm-hmm.
kids about a year before that. And then one of my good buddies, about 6 months before I got diagnosed, he had a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant down on the waterfront. We hung out together, good friends, went down to the restaurant all the time. Beautiful, beautiful view of the harbor. Well, he got sideways with one of his business deals, went bankrupt,
Oh.
and went out in the woods on the other side of town and offed himself. So I had
Oh.
already seen these parents burying their child, you know? And I'm like, this ain't happening. I got to figure this out. I
Uh-oh.
figure out everything in
Mm-hmm.
business. I always solve my problems. This is just a problem. It's a series of problems. We can figure this out. I got it. I owe it to my folks to try to stay alive. And then, hey, man, if I go out, I'm going out on my last breath, and you can put that on my tombstone. He fought to the end, and I go
Wow.
out with my dignity, right, and my pride,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of where I was at. So it started with that decision. That's where it all started, right? And I'll tell you, I started making decisions like I had a future, like I had, a great life ahead of me. On my birthday, I had just been diagnosed. I had just been diagnosed, confirmed with the pancreatic cancer. On
Mm-hmm.
my birthday, dragging around this leg, I went to the gym and I started working out. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting ready because one day I'm going to have a surgery somehow, some way, and I am going to
Mm-hmm.
walk. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to make this happen. So
Yeah.
I figured out, my dad and I did some brainstorming and researching and figured out I actually could get insurance here in the States. I wasn't going to come
Okay.
home. I wasn't going to come home, bankrupt my family, and die, right? It
Okay. Okay.
better to be
Mm.
sad than be sad and broke. I was just kind of being
Mm-hmm.
practical about it, right? Figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we came home. And we came home. I came home and went into a doctor here in Northwest Arkansas. From all my research, I knew it was a good place. I didn't want to drag my folks all over the country again. They'd already been all the way in New Zealand. So hard. I started at the local clinic here, walked in, talked to this radiologist guy, about the tumor and all the stuff and all my concerns. And he said, look, yeah, it is risky. And if we don't do something, you're going to die. But I
Mm.
we can get this. And this is where I found somebody that wanted to be on my team of hope.
Okay.
We zapped the thing. It was the size of a softball growing into
Right.
my stomach. Zapped the thing, got it. Then I did some immunotherapy, and
Yeah.
I'm almost 3 years cancer free now. Yeah, unbelievable,
Yay!
unbelievable, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, being that that is beautiful. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I was 25 at the time. I
Okay.
just celebrated my 50th birthday on Saturday.
Oh, good for
Um,
you.
yes, thank you. And at that time, being that young, being 25, that wasn't heard of during that time that a 25-year-old would have breast cancer. So my gynecologist was like, well, you don't have lumps in your breast, you just have leakage out of your nipples. So probably a little small, little something they could take care of and you'll be fine. Well, it exploded into them doing what they did and, doing this test and that test. And it came back that I had cancer, breast cancer. And it really it frightened my gynecologist. She kept apologizing to me for doubting that it wouldn't happen to a 25-year-old. they set me in a room and they were asking me, was I okay? When I first found out, of course, I'm a believer in Christ. So I'm
Yeah.
telling them yes. They're thinking I need counseling before the surgery. They have to go in and da 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 da. But I was fine. I believed in who I believed in and I kept it moving. And so after having the surgery the first time, they went back the third time, and then they went back the fourth time, and then they went back the fifth time. And then they decided to do, because I was heavy busted, they decided to go in and put silicone in because they said I was too young to have a flat chest. And so they went and put silicone in, and then I went home to do the silicone recovery. Then I said, after the sixth surgery, this is not working. It's too heavy. And
Oh,
so they had to go back in. Long story short, I ended up having 8 surgeries. And the eighth surgery, I was on a table for 10 hours. So they started that morning. They did not finish until that evening. I was on a table for 10 hours so that they could remove and reconstruct my breast. It took 10 hours, that eighth surgery. And I'm glad the silicone was removed because many years later, as you know, silicone breast became an issue with leaking in the body. So I
unbelievable.
did not have that. So, I tell my story to let people know, just
Yeah.
like you, that
Yeah.
we are survivors and we have to keep our heads straight. That was to the point where they put me in, I'm quite sure, like you said, they give you the encouragement group, people you could talk to or whatever. It ended up turning around. I ended up being the person encouraging these ladies that were 40 and over. I'm 25. These ladies are 40 and over, and they're calling me, how do you stay so strong? How do da 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 da? And so they were
Yeah.
like, you need to be the lead of the calls and encourage me. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. But of course, I'm too busy. I'm in the school, I'm doing
Yeah.
substitute teacher.
Yeah.
And so I'm healing at the same time, working, taking care of my children, and all this other stuff going on. But the thing, Trent, is this. I was the 19th person at the age of 25 with the rare form of breast cancer that I had in the United States.
Wow.
I was the 19th person in the United States with that rare form. I could not have radiation. It would have reversed and went through my body, the cancer.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And I see here that you have a miracle too in
I've got
regards
several.
to, yeah. So share with us about, you were talking about the hemp implant, and
Yes.
that it
Yeah.
hasn't been done in the world. It's never been done, that
Yeah.
procedure. Tell us about that.
Sure. 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 Okay. So, my plan was I had three goals, right? Let's get over the cancer. I've got to get over this chronic hip infection because I can't have a surgery on the hip. No one will talk to you, hardly touch you, do
Mhm.
anything if you've had an infection or anything. And I wanted that hip implant because I wanted to walk again without crutches, right?
That's
I just
right.
want to get back to normal. So,
Mhm.
I'm on this whole, journey discovery thing. It's kind of what I call the journey within the journey. I've been to doctors all over the country. I talked to doctors all over the world saying, you've had this infection, and plus, there's nothing to bolt anything to. So
Mm.
this is like this a little model. I'm not a doctor, but this is actually my
I like
pelvis.
what you're showing. So hold on. Let me go in and let me do this. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Hold on.
So this is my spine. This is the actual right side of my pelvis, and you can see from here over there is no bone. Just to give you an idea, it's like that's how much bone it is, right? So you can get an idea of, there's nothing to bolt anything to there,
Yeah,
right?
nothing. There's nothing.
Absolutely. So I found a doctor here in Northwest Arkansas. This guy, another guy, and here's the thing. If you've got the money and you're paying, you're in charge. You can go
Mm,
get a second opinion. Almost all
yeah,
insurances cover that. And
yeah.
I wanted people that were going to be on my team. So I found
Mhm.
this guy, this dude, awesome dude. with infectious disease. And he said, look,
Mhm.
we're going to get rid of this infection. We're going to figure this out. I did a
Okay.
3-month course of IV antibiotics every single day for 2 hours a day, made me sick as a dog, like I had been on chemo. It was terrible. I was sick. I was throwing up. Horrible.
Mm.
I did 3 months instead of 2. The max is kind of 2, but I was like, let's go for it. Let's get this. So we did it. We got the infection. We got it. All right. Now I've been looking for a doctor. I mean, Mayo told me no. MD Anderson kind of told me, we just can't do anything. Just, in a nice way, don't even come back,
Right.
And,
Yeah.
well, I talked to my orthopedic advisor here in my network of doctors here in Arkansas. I have this guy kind of, helps me coordinate and everything. He said, look, I got a guy up at Mayo, and he specializes in knees and hips that no one else will do. I think you guys, this could work. And I said, dude, I've already been to Mayo. They told me no. And he said, you haven't talked to this guy? I'm giving you a personal referral. Okay. Went up there, and we decided we were going to do a 3-part surgery. Okay. To get all the 4.25 inches back. First surgery was a temporary hip implant. And what they did is, they cleared everything out. They got it ready, made sure there was no infection in there. Because in New Zealand, when I had one of the last surgeries, it caused this. Okay. Now, this is a surgical hernia, and this is my left side. Okay. So this is the hip area. That's my actual intestines. Okay. This area.
Oh,
And
God.
they had cut me all the way around here, and they were just, they could, it was a miracle that the thing even grew back. It took 9 or 10 months for the thing to grow back, to heal up, right? And they didn't even think it was going to heal up. Well, so that was something in itself. We had the surgery, we had the hip surgery. Okay. And, they put in the largest, most complex hip implant ever done, with procedures that have never been done ever. So this little thing right here is my $1 million, $1 trillion piece that fits into my little thing. I never hardly get this right, how this works. Fits in there kind of like this, and you can see that's where the ball part of the leg comes in. Let me show you this too. Okay, this is a normal X-ray of a hip implant. Okay,
Right.
to give you a comparison. This is mine.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This whole thing. These are rods into my spine. These are screws going all the way across inside me to the other side. It's about 8 or 9 screws, 3 rods, 2 days of surgery, 18 hours one day. I think 8 or 6 or 8 the next day. But
wait, you're going too fast. 18 hours of surgery one day?
Yep, 18, and then the next day was like 6 hours. Yeah. I mean, they were worried I wasn't even going to wake up from the surgery, right? I mean, this
yeah.
And coming within millimeters of my spine, but this is how they engineered it to make it work. Because really, this isn't just an engineering project attempt on a human being, and I'm the guy crazy enough to go for it. So
the first time ever.
That is the largest in the world. Yeah.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
I got the hip in. It's giving me stability back. I've got some functionality back, but this is how much I got back. So I still have a little bit. They can't stretch your leg that far, or it'll paralyze the nerves and stuff. And so, so what I can do, this is optional, because I told the doctor when we met, he's like, well, I don't know if we can get all 4 inches back, and I said, Doc, it's a 4-inch plan or nothing. Because we got to at least have a plan, right?
Okay.
At least got to have a plan. So the last part is they'll take the femur right above the knee, they'll cut that in half, and they do a bone lengthening procedure that people have that are born with a leg shorter than the other, or have been in a car crash or something like that, right? So It's in. I've had it. Oh, I mean, there's always something. There's always something. So I had the surgery in July. Everything was okay. And then about a month and a half later, I started feeling terrible. Took us a couple months.
Oh,
We figured out I had an infection, a terrible,
yeah.
terrible infection again. Had to go
Mm,
in, redo everything
mm,
they could do, put me on antibiotics for 3 months, made me feel terrible, horrible. The side
mhm,
effects
mhm,
were just mental health issues. Like it gave me anxiety. It gave me,
mm.
it gave, all the stuff. I went into
And this
depression.
was due to the medications.
This is due to the medication. I went into depression,
Mm,
suicidal thoughts, hot and cold sweats, vision, blurry vision. I mean, it's the meanest antibiotic of all the ones that they give everybody. Because here's the thing: if we didn't get the infection, they'd have to take everything out, and it's like a one-shot deal. So if they had to take everything out, I'd be back to where I was, and I don't go backwards.
mm. Right.
We don't
Okay.
do that.
I love
We
it.
don't do
No,
that.
not
Okay,
at all.
we move forward, right?
Yes.
Because my backside's back there, and I leave all that
Yeah,
in the
back in the
rearview
back.
mirror, right? And we're
Mhm.
looking this way. That's why your eyes are in the front to look forward, not to look
Okay.
back. So, um, yeah, I'm on. So we had that little roller coaster of it, but
Mhm.
we're good. It's been the last several months have been good. I'm on one crutch now. Then I'll be on a cane, and then I'm going to be walking. I'm already doing short walks, like, you know, from the bedroom to the kitchen, or
Yeah.
And hey, I was dragging this leg around. I swear, no word of a lie, it was like a toothpick. I didn't use it for 2 years. I drug it around with this huge infection on crutches. It was so hard, man. It was, and it still is. But you know
Mhm.
what? You know what? I'm getting there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm alive. We got,
Hey.
they told me I'd be dead in a year. We cleared up this chronic infection that they told me we would never do. I'm going to
Mhm.
be walking soon. They told me I never would. You just have to believe.
That's it. You just have to believe. And this is where I love when you share this with us. Tell us about breaking the silence. Okay. Voice of
Yeah,
Survival, Volume 1. I didn't spell that up there right, but okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got invited to be part of this book collaboration with several other people, and it's
Mm-hmm.
headed up by Michelle Jewsbury. She's a teacher, coach, trainer, speaker person that is in the domestic abuse area of things, right?
Okay.
She put us all together, these different
Mhm.
people that have had stories of overcoming, major obstacles and trauma in their lives. So I'm one of the chapters in the book about
Yay.
whipping that cancer, man.
Yeah, you
So,
did too.
yeah, yeah. I just so happen to have one of these. It's right. This is what it looks like, right?
Hold on, Trick. Keep it right there. I like to zoom in.
Sure, 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 sure. Breaking the
Okay.
silence, right?
Oh, I love the butterfly. Butterflies are my favorite.
Isn't it cool? And everybody's in there. I'm right there down at the bottom. Yep. And so these are all the authors and everything.
How many authors are in the book?
20, and
Okay. Oh,
she's
that's a
doing
thick
volume.
book. You guys got some testimonies in that book.
But we do. Everybody got about 5 or 6 pages, so it's not crazy, right?
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Doing volume 2. I got invited to do volume 2, so I'm doing a chapter in volume 2, and it's awesome. You can order it on Amazon, right? Or if you get in touch with me, I can send you a
Mhm.
copy as well. You know,
Okay,
um, you know,
absolutely.
I didn't
How much
necessarily
is
come
the
on here to
book?
promote my book, but
No,
like
but I mean,
it's
after you
super
told the
cool.
story, we need to talk about that. I mean, you told your story. We need to know. So,
Absolutely.
how much is the book?
The books, I think, about $20 on Amazon, 20 or 25 on Amazon. But I mean, hey, you can, if you want a book from me, you can make a donation. I'll send you one. I don't. I'm not real fussy.
Okay, all right.
I'll
Thank
send
you,
you. I'd
Trent.
send people a personally signed copy in the mail
Yes,
if they
yes,
order from me.
right?
Yeah, yeah, right. You got
Oh my
personal.
gosh. So Trent, tell us more. I want to know about your journey now that I know about your journey. We see some of only a little smidgen of it because I know that you went through many, many roller coasters. But
Yeah.
tell us about, you said from my journey from a faith-based spiritual perspective to
Correct.
give inspiration and hope to others so that they too can overcome obstacles. You are a speaker, a motivational speaker at that. So tell us a little bit more about what you do when you go out.
Sure. So, I've always been a Christian, but once I kind of got into college and I got off, I kind of started doing me, and I think we all go through that phase.
Yeah.
But when you think you're close to going to heaven, you start talking to God a lot, right? You want to know you're coming, right?
Make sure the road is clear.
Yeah, you got, yeah.
The road is clear for takeoff.
Is the door gonna be unlocked? Don't make me come all the way up there and the door's locked, So, that really kind of renewed my connection with the Lord, right? And there's been so many things on this that this is not a coincidence. I had a thing at church where the doctor, the preacher said somebody's got a hip infection and it's going to be gone. He didn't know anything about my situation, right? I went to the service and I'm kind of like looking around and he's like, I'm like, how does he know? Well, the next service I went to, okay, at the end of the service, I looked down and I don't have a lot of feeling in my hip area. I've had like 10, 11 surgeries on that. I can't feel stuff until kind of halfway down my leg. It's at the end of the service. I look down, okay, and this incision area, you saw it. I mean, it had been closed up for months. Well, it exploded. It totally exploded. Fluid, pus, it just all sorts of gunk and junk and everything.
Oh, wow.
Clean this thing up, okay? And it took me about a half hour to clean it up. My dad had to come help me. I had to change my pants. I'm just giving you an idea. The next day, it happened again. I had to like get into the bathtub and stand in the bath. I'm just trying to give you an idea. It was like thinking about like a couple of pints of blood and fluid, okay?
Not like a bucket.
You got it. The pain was gone. And it was like, to give you an example, it was like when you have a splinter in your finger, but then that splinter gets infected, right? And if you get all that infection out, it feels better, right? That's what happened with my leg. That's what happened with my leg. Then I was able to start kind of putting a little bit of weight on it. And I was able to start exercising it and getting it ready. And then, like the thing, God had this plan, right? I know he did. Yeah. I thought, well, I had an encounter in New Zealand where I thought this tumor was going to not be cancer. Well, when I got the biopsy down there and it was cancer, I thought this was my only chance. God, you failed me. And I knew enough to know that you can't turn your back on God. God doesn't cause these problems. The world is a terrible place. Adam and Eve screwed it up many, many years ago. And it's been set up that the world is the devil's domain. Heaven is the Lord's place. And the Lord gave us a way out when he sent his son, Jesus. So he doesn't cause these problems. He actually gives us a way out. So he gave me a way out. The way out was better than what I thought, because I thought if it was okay, I would have stayed in New Zealand. I would have never gotten the hip infection solved. I would have never gotten the implant. I came back to Arkansas where my parents lived, and I was able. He had a plan better than I did. That I got the cancer resolved, I got the infection resolved, and we got the hip implant. If I had stayed in New Zealand on my plan doing my thing, none of those things would ever happen, right? So there's no way that all these coincidental things have happened that were just coincidence, right? I know that the Lord is guiding me. He's leading me. He's showing me. And, my faith has been renewed. I trust in Him. You know, one of my favorite verses is, "Those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They mount up with wings as eagles. They run and not be weary. They walk and not faint." And I used to say that verse over and over and over to myself. When I started listening to preaching of things like miracle sermons, I would listen to them over and over and over. Christian music was in the background all the time. I was flooding my environment, my mind, everything to totally renew myself. I would find something that I loved to listen to that resonated with me, and I would put it on repeat. I would fall asleep listening to it. I would wake up listening to it. I would be saying it in my sleep. And when that kind of stuff starts happening, that's when it gets in you. That's when you know that your faith is overcoming your unbelief. So, call those things that be not as though they were.
I had to make sure that they understood. I wanted that to be up close and personal for our viewers. Yes. I love how you said that you didn't stop. You made it an everyday activity, just as well as drinking water, hearing the word of God, just as well as falling asleep with the word of God in you, music in you. You wake up and you feel renewed and revived. I do the same thing, especially at work when it's a little heavy. I
Yeah.
go home, I have a mask that makes it dark, and it has the earpieces to it too. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
love that when I can just close it, make it dark in the room. Because if the sun comes up, I'm that individual that rises with the sun. I even have to have dark curtains because that's how I rise. And so it doesn't matter. And then once I see that light, any type of light, I'm woke. So I have to have that, and I just focus in on God, and I focus in what the words are saying in the songs that I listen to. Trent, you have been such a wonderful, valuable inspiration. I pray that our viewers that watch this session, that they become delivered. Not only that, to hear the testimonies of miracles and how miracles happen in your life. A miracle that happened with me that I'll share real quickly before we end is when I had the breast cancer. My blood pressure would not go down with that last surgery. I came out of surgery with both of my hands. I had carpal tunnel. I couldn't eat. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even cough. It was horrible. And so the doctors couldn't understand why my blood pressure would not drop. He just couldn't get it. It was days I went with a high blood pressure. And the nurses, there were some mean nurses. I couldn't hardly talk, and they kept trying to make me cough. I had food brought to me and a tray sit in front of me, and I'm trying to tell them I can't move my hands. And
Right.
no, they just wouldn't listen. So one
Ah,
night, nurse came into the room, and she said, "How are you doing, Michelle?" She called my name. She talked to me and everything. I remember how she looked to this day.
mm, mm. It's all right. It's okay.
It was so beautiful because that nurse was an angel. Because the next day, what she told me that night to tell the doctor to do, I described the nurse and the nurse that was with him. She said, "I was here all night, Michelle." And she tapped me on my shoulder that night, and she said, "This is what a fluid is. You got a lot of fluid in your shoulder." She said, "If he would just open his shoulder, all the fluid would come out." And because the doctor was so frustrated with trying to figure this out, he listened to me. And he actually cut my arm while I'm laying in the bed. He didn't take me to the ER, to the operating room or anything. He actually told the nurse, "We're gonna do this now. Her blood pressure needs to drop." And you just heard this gush of water. So I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This gush of water came out, and my family was in the room. The nurse, the doctor, he said some words once he saw it, but everybody else was like, "Wow." And all I could do was just cry because I knew that I had been visited by an angel, and how much God loved me,
Yeah.
that he sent an angel to say, "She's going to live and not die.
Yeah.
She will not die. And she's going to share this for the rest of her life, this testimony." So to hear
Yeah.
you and share
Yeah. Yeah.
Sharing.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Oh,
still here. That's why I'm still here. I just want to share the hope. We
ugh,
all have bad days. We all have
yes,
terrible things that happen in life. But you
yeah,
know what? You just can't quit. Take a time
no,
out. Take a
yeah,
time out.
and
Take a
that's
rest. Not
okay,
only
right?
you. Yeah. Yeah. Recharge. Get ready. And the next morning when you get up, you got to get going. You got to get your butt out of bed. You got to put your pants on and you got to get out the door, right? You just have to.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Trent, oh my God, I have really enjoyed our conversation
Me
today.
too.
So
It has been
beautiful,
a
so
blessing.
magnificent. Thank
Such
you
a
so much
blessing.
for being a part of Unbreakable Faith today. You've heard it, guys, straight from Brent Rock. I tell you, he is great. Brent, if you would just hang on with me, I'm gonna put you back in the green room. I just want to close us out, if that's all right with
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Do you have
I hope
time?
your audience enjoyed us today. If anybody would like to talk to me or get in touch with me about anything, I have a website now, TrentBrockCoaching.com. Love to talk to anybody about anything. I'm just here to help.
Absolutely. Any other things that you want to share with our viewers before we leave? Anything else that comes to mind? I'm gonna leave this up to you. I'm gonna remove myself.
Gosh, we all have tough things that happen. Life is hard, life is tough. You don't fail if you don't give up.
Thank you, Trent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh my goodness. I tell you. Oh my gosh.
It's been a great
So
one.
yes, he is so good to us. So guys, you've heard it from Trent. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. He shared his information with you, and also it's at the bottom of the screen here. Reach out to him if you did not get his website. This is a powerful man of God. The testimonies that he's given and the miracles that has happened in his life. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And from everything that he shared with us today, I hope and pray that you are encouraged to know that you can overcome and that you will overcome. All you have to do is just put one foot in front of the other. This is my saying: your pain today will be your strength tomorrow. What we do is help youth heal from sexual abuse, trauma. And one thing I know for certain is that you need to keep living and forgiving and thriving, because joy truly does come in your morning. Have a wonderful day.